No, you can't stop progress, my friends. Don't you understand? You will own nothing, and you will be happy. But what does that really mean? Does it mean you'll own nothing? I mean, physically, yes. You'll own things, concepts, abstractions, like NFTs. But will you control access to resources, the manufacturing of goods, the means of production? No, you won't. Let's start with the news from the Daily Mail. Bank of America closes 21 branches in 1 week, while Wells Fargo shutters 15. Is your local on the list? They say major U.S. banks are continuing to close branches across the U.S., leaving an increasing number of Americans without access to basic financial services. Bank of America axed 21 branches in the first week of October, according to a bulletin published by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, on Friday. Wells Fargo shuttered 15, while U.S. Bank and Chase reported closing 9 and 3, respectively. In total, some 54 locations had either closed or were scheduled to close between October 1st and the 7th. Of the overall closures, 3 were in Louisville, in Kentucky. 8 of the 21 Bank of America closures were in California. Surprise, surprise. California's a failed state, by the way. It's been for some years. I remember making a video like 5 years ago saying California's a failed state. It's just getting worse. But you can't stop progress. And this is where we're headed. Why? Well, there are larger forces at play. Forces from the liminal, subliminal, and perhaps superliminal. As a Simpsons joke, but the general idea is some of it's intentional, some of it's unintentional. The unintentional is that we have smartphones, and people are not going to branches as much as they used to. The cost of maintaining a branch is becoming more expensive than the benefit received from that branch. Technology is resulting in the shuttering of branches. The end result of this will be a cashless society, which of course will be the thing of nightmares. Hope you're ready for it. It'll be the thing of nightmares because you can call it a cashless society. There will still be numbers, probably a central bank digital currency, something that can be easily tracked and exploited through artificial intelligence and algorithmic means. They'll know where you are, where you're going to be. They'll see everything you've ever done. It is an advanced version of the existing ledger that banks have. That'll be the future. The end result, of course, is, as you know, you will own nothing and you will be happy. The reason why they say that, there's this famous quote, I believe it was by a Rothschild, I'm not sure, where he said something to the effect of a one world government is inevitable. In fact, maybe I should pull this up because people misunderstand what it means. One world government inevitable. And I think it was Rothschild. I could be wrong. New World Order conspiracy. Rothschild quote. Well, I don't know. I think some of you who are watching this probably know better than I. But this famous quote said that many people think that, there's a conspiracy to bring about a world government. And the general idea is this. There doesn't need to be. There does not need to be a conspiracy to make a one world government. It is an inevitability. That's just it. You take a look at Europe. Take a look at the United States before European colonizers came. And you could all look at all the different territories that were controlled by all these different tribes. One by one, all of these borders started to come together. A monopolizing force occurred. This happens in the universe. The reason why I say a one world government will be inevitable is because thanks in part to technology, culture is homogenizing. And that's it. With better technology, the wants and desires of people become more in line with each other. If you have a nation like the United States, you have a desire among your peers to be respected. Not everybody has this, okay? But typically, right? If you are Chinese, you have a desire to be respected among your peers. Thus, the interests of you as someone from China is different from someone in the United States, and thus you will compete. The person in China says, I want power. I don't care what Americans think about me. The end result with communication expansion is that people will start to care more and more about what other people think, and culture begins to homogenize. Some are intentionally doing this. Part of it is a naturally occurring phenomenon. When that happens, you end up with treaties. Then you'll end up with international court bodies, which already exist. And then you'll end up with a one world system of governance. You can resist it, and resistance is entirely possible. But I think the end result is Technology will bring about a one world government of some sort. And I think it's fair to say we already have it. Yeah. You've got multiple independent you have multiple international bodies that control finance, war funding, etc. The world is still split in twain with the Western powers and the BRICS nations. But after this, it could be some kind of unification. Or maybe this is it. There will always be like two for competition's sake. Now, as for living in the pod and eating the bugs, they're going to take away your ability to understand and know. Harriet Tubman famously said, and most of you have heard me say it a million times now, I freed many slaves. I would have freed many more if only they knew they were slaves. You see, the idea there is there are many people who didn't even understand the concept of slavery that were slaves. They were enslaved. They were told what to do. And they're like, I don't know. What else would I do? And Harriet Tubman said, you could be free and be your own man and be successful and wealthy in your own right. Be your own king. But many people didn't understand it. Didn't care. So there are people in this world that know if they can take that away from you, your knowledge of freedom, of liberty, of meritocracy, they can raise your children with a fractured worldview. They'll be happy. Eventually, this means you'll live in the pods. You won't have kids. You'll die. And then the population of the planet will begin to shrink, as it already is. I mean, slowing down. So what will happen for the rest of you is, we're seeing one sign. Your local bank branch is shutting down. How does this relate? You're no longer going to have access to physical currency because they say, well, you're already doing everything online as it is. The world of online will continue to expand. And eventually, we will do everything online. Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse is still being expanded. He recently put out a podcast with Lex Fridman where they had a CGI animation of themselves in real time. And that's what the world's going to turn into. Heck, for all we know, we're in that already. And that's why everyone thinks the world's a simulation. Because you are actually just playing some kind of weird simulated video game life in your pod with a tube into your throat, pumping bugs into your gullet. Moral philosophy and philosophy is interesting concepts, huh? I think that's where we're headed. And it's actually a reason to speculate that we're in base reality. I'd make the argument that if we're not in some kind of matrix system by choice, because if we were, we'd probably just retain knowledge of the fact that we're in that system, wouldn't we? If you wanted to escape from reality and live a life of luxury among individuals who were, like if you wanted to live your dreams, you'd go into a single player video game where you'd have absolute control. Maybe the argument is you've chosen to play a game where your mind is not aware, like the guy in the Matrix. Cypher, when he says, I don't want to remember nothing, and I want to be someone important, like an actor. Someone important. Yeah. Maybe that's it. That's what we're doing. The argument I'd say for this being base reality is that we're headed towards that world, which wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense that if we were in a simulation, we would be building the simulation to escape into, because then we're just in a circuitous loop, a recursive loop of entering more and more simulations. We would choose to live in a perfect world, wouldn't we? Or not. We would want the conflict and the crisis for the entertainment value. But I'm kind of not convinced that your life or my life warrants something worth playing because, in my mind, if I wanted to actually go into a virtual world, I'd be fighting dragons or something. It'd be like riding on the back of a dragon, fighting another dragon or whatever nonsense, casting fireball spells or being an Iron Man. I mean, just anything more exciting than sitting in a room all day being bored. But I love this concept too. If we really are in a simulation, base reality must be so boring. Just imagine how boring it must be that this is entertainment. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you go to sleep. You wake up, you go to work. Really? That's the video game you chose to play? I mean, hey, look, people like farming simulator, and truck driving simulator. Anyway, back to the point. The system by which we lived for a long time in our base reality is crumbling. We are not, when was the last time you did a transaction in cash? I mean, you go to a casino, you're going to do it. So, that still exists. There'll be a need there. But even now, the casinos are starting to change into a digital system. Yeah. Mobile apps where you click a button and they give you chips. Hey, but those chips could still be currency, right? Backed by the corporation behind them. There will probably need to be forever some kind of symbol or universal trade medium tool. But even now, online gaming, online sports betting, online poker, People are going to live in the pods, and you are going to experience simulated reality. That is the nature of the world that we are entering. And I hope you're ready for it. It's fast approaching. This is just another sign. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.